What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Thursday, everybody. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios. Whether you're listening online at sportstalk1051.com, the video streams, tuning in over there on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch. Got your smart devices like your Alexa devices. Just say, "Yo, Alexa, play at WAYY." However you're tuning in, we appreciate it, or if it's on those good old fashioned radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. So, but a very happy Thursday to you all on this MLB trade deadline day. Going to be paying attention to this all day long, less than 11 hours until the trade deadline this evening, early evening, 5 p.m. Will the Brewers make a move? There's already been moves. The big fish probably on this market, Suarez, dealt back to the Mariners, going back to the Mariners. So, no, the Cubs didn't land him. Nobody else in the National League. He goes back to the American League there. So, but you got the Twins starting to sell off on some players as well. So definitely moves made yesterday afternoon, except still kind of quiet on the Brewers side of things. But maybe today, with their off day today, the Brew Crew will make a move. Brewers coming off of a loss to the Chicago Cubs yesterday, not able to complete the sweep against the Cubbies, falling 10-3. Freddie Peralta picking up his fifth loss on the season. But Cubs jumped out to an early 1-0 lead in the first. Contreras tying it up with a solo shot in the bottom of the frame. But those 4 runs in the third inning put the Cubs up for good. After that, Brewers tried to chip away a little bit, but then Cubs adding 3 more in the top of the 6th to kind of maybe take the wind out of the sails for the Brewers. But Peralta just going 4 innings, giving up 5 earned runs, 4 walks as well. So, but off day today for the Crew before beginning a road series against the Washington Nationals that'll start tomorrow. Brewers still tops in the NL Central, tops in the National League, and best record in all of Major League Baseball. So, but like a lot of Brewers fans, I think we're going to be paying attention to today's trade deadline. What will the Brewers do? Do you think they're going to do anything? What's your gut telling you? What's your mind telling you? What do you think? Do you think they'll make a move that'll move the needle? Get a little excitement? Do you think it might be kind of a typical Brewers move that we saw a little bit earlier this week by trading for a backup catcher? Do you think they will make a quote unquote splashy type of move? What's your gut telling you? All right, hit me up. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. With Suarez dealt, if that was number 1 on your list, who do you have at like number 2? Who do you have maybe next on your wish list? If you kind of had a few guys in your mind. Now that Suarez is gone, Ryan McMahon dealt. Is there another infielder? Majority, we did the poll the other day, our post Glass and Mirror 715 Speaks poll question. We did the poll like, would you rather have an outfielder or infielder? Now, when you add in the Jackson Cheerio news with his hamstring, still wide majority going with an infielder. So if you've been kind of following along with the trade deadline, is there another person or another player that you're kind of maybe have your eyes on? Or maybe you're just like, I don't know any dudes. I just want somebody. I just want another bat to throw in this lineup, man. I want a little bit more pop. I was reading a little bit on MLB.com because obviously they've got a ton on the trade deadline stuff and kind of broke it down by teams and such. And Adam McCulvey, of course, writing for the Brewers since he's Brewers.com. He noted that Matt Arnold already made impactful in-season trades for starter Quinn Priester, Andrew Vaughn, as well as Andrew Vaughn and then Danny Jansen, but he remains open to adding power to a lineup with little of it, if such a deal can be made without costing a top prospect. And he would like to fortify a hard-worked bullpen. Lefty Jared Koenig scuffled against the Cubs on Wednesday while making his 51st appearance, matching Abner Uribe's team lead. Only 4 pitchers in the majors had appeared more as of 24 hours prior to the deadline. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's still the 2 biggest needs probably for the Brewers are a power bat and then maybe a little bit more help in the bullpen. A bullpen that has been used quite a bit this year. At least a few guys in that bullpen that have been used quite a bit this year. You want to make sure that, they're not too overworked before you get to the postseason if you're able to get to the postseason. So, but we'll keep you posted throughout the morning if anything does happen to pop up here for the crew. But it's fairly quiet, I would say. And again, I think that's probably typical Brewers, the typical Brewers way. Kind of maybe a little bit like the Packers in that essence. So, but hey, if you got a person in mind, if you got a player in mind, let me know. Hit me up with that text, 715-830-1912. You get football tonight. If you are all geeked up about that, Hall of Fame game tonight between the Lions and the Chargers. But that's why we only have like 4 baseball games tonight. But the Packers having an off day yesterday at training camp and such. But we may throw a little green and gold chat in here as training camp practice will pick back up here. And, we got family night and such. But Sterling Sharp probably going to be out in the field today. Going to be finally inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. While I know the ceremony's not tonight and such, but with Sterling Sharp, with the Hall of Fame ceremonies kind of kicking off tonight with the game. For those of you old enough to remember watching Sterling Sharp, is there a play, is there a moment that you remember most about Sterling Sharp, or what's the first thing that maybe kind of comes to your mind when you think about Sterling Sharp? I mean, I'll tell you, like Sterling Sharp was one of my very first that I can remember as a youngster. Very first favorite players. Those back in the day, those I don't want to call them kits, but like the youth helmets and the jerseys and the pants, and they used to come with even shoulder pads back in the day. Mine was a Sterling Sharp one. Obviously, for Green Bay, they probably didn't have a whole lot of other people to pick from at that point because it was pre-Favre. But I always thought that was like my first jersey. And I remember as a kid taking a piece of paper and writing Sharp in a green marker, gluing it with Elmer's glue on the back because I wanted the name on the back. Yeah, that didn't work out too well after one wash, but still, that to me, Sterling Sharp was kind of like the first big Packer that I remember in my lifetime. Obviously, the neck injury. Then you got the playoff game against the Lions with that big bomb from Favre. So, I mean, but maybe also too from the players that you got to watch personally, not necessarily in history, because there's a ton of great players in Packers history, right? But of the players that you got to watch in person, like on TV or whatever, during your lifetime that you got to witness with your own eyes, would you say he's a top 5 Packer? Top 10 Packer? Again, from what you witnessed. And still, the list is pretty darn good, right? I mean, you got Favre, you got White, you got Rodgers, you got Woodson. Is Sterling a top 5, top 10 from a Packer player that you witnessed? So, I want to talk a little Sterling Sharp coming up here this morning too. Long overdue. I think I speak for a lot of Packers fans. Long overdue, finally getting into the Hall of Fame. So we'll hit that up. What else do we? No outdoor chats with Jake. He's unavailable today, so save your questions for Jake. Another time we'll get him back on there. But tip of the cap Thursday. If you want to do a little shout out, tip your cap to anybody out there, you can do so by hitting us up with the text on our True Doctors bullpen line, or commenting on the video streams, or hitting us up with or hitting us up on social media and such. So that's kind of your game plan here for this one. Oh, I should note too, the Express picking up a come from behind victory last night against Waterloo. So good victory for the Express. They're going to hit the road, take it on Rochester tonight to wrap up the month of July. Then they'll return home tomorrow night at Carson Park, taking on Rochester, and then that big series against Duluth. Home against Duluth on Saturday, away against Duluth on Sunday. So, but let's get things rolling here this morning, shall we? Let's jump right into it. MLB trade deadline day today. Suarez traded. He's going to the Mariners. At least it's not the Cubs if it couldn't be the Brewers. If you're a Brewers fan, who's maybe next on your list, player-wise? Is it an outfielder? We've already had a couple third basemen traded. So there's still plenty of outfielders available. It'd be good if the Brewers acquired an outfielder that was a power hitter or, just a really solid hitter. We got the Jackson Cheerio hamstring issue. You want another outfielder to kind of improve that depth a little bit. Is it still trying to find an infielder? What, or is bullpen now the top priority? What do you think? Or, again, kind of what we were talking about yesterday. Are you good with standing pat? It was about 50-50 yesterday. I'll be honest with you. It was about 50-50. So, I mean, it was down the line here. Be curious to see what happens today and everybody's reaction tomorrow, whether they make moves or don't make moves. Because maybe you shouldn't speak for everybody, but I feel like even for some of the people who said no, don't make a move, if they made a splashy move, and I don't know who that would be right off the top of my head, I would imagine there'd still be some excitement. So I was like, oh man, we actually got that guy? We got that guy? So, what do you think? All right, let's talk a little MLB trade deadline today. What's your wish list, Brewers fans? All right, if you were to go last minute Christmas shopping today, because today is maybe it's like Christmas Eve night, and you only got a few hours left to do your Christmas shopping. What's on your wish list? Let's talk about it. Coming up next. Looking for the perfect firearm or accessories, Tilden Gun in Eau Claire is the place to go. Whether you're just starting out or adding to your collection, they offer a wide selection of rifles, shotguns, handguns, and ammunition to fit your needs. But what sets Tilden Gun apart is their knowledgeable staff, ready to guide you through every decision, helping you find the right equipment at the right price. They pride themselves on outstanding customer service and treating every person who walks in the door like family. With competitive pricing, you can trust that you're getting great value without compromising on quality. Just visit Tilden Gun today. You can check out their website, tildengun.com, or you can check out their awesome shop at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. So, all right. Happy trade deadline day, Brewers fans. Who is on your wish list? There were a flurry of moves already made yesterday. A lot of people wanting Suarez from the Diamondbacks. That's not happening anymore. He was traded to the Mariners, so going back to the Mariners. So who's maybe next on your wish list, Brewers fans? You can let us know by hitting us up with a quick text at 715-830-1912. C-Bomb with an early text here. Do you think Atanasio will ultimately make the decision, and what will it be? Play the long game and hope, or go for it if this pitching staff is not entirely back next season? Why would he not want to go all in for a World Series? They play the long game every year, but if you're finally on the doorstep and have the staff to get it done, why wouldn't you go for it? What do you think Arnold wants to do? Surveyor says, good morning, DK. I was listening to Brady Quinn talk this morning about NFL rosters, and he stated that there are only 5 to 7 open roster spots on every team. So my question to you is, what are those 5 to 7 spots on the roster, and who's actually battling for those spots? And this question might be too soon to ask, but I was just curious what your thoughts were. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. I'll get to that coming up a little bit later, but that's a good question, Surveyor. That's a really good question. So, living a dream, Jeff. Morning, Dan. Sterling Sharp was definitely the most exciting receiver I have watched since Lofton. He seemed to catch everything thrown his way, which definitely helped Magic's career. These two, plus Tim Harris and a few others, put the Packers back on the map, finally getting in the playoffs after dismal years of fans just being able to celebrate a regular season win. Thank you for that text, Jeff. As we were talking a little bit about it earlier, Sterling Sharp finally getting into the Hall of Fame officially this weekend, kicking off with the Hall of Fame game tonight, the Pro Football Hall of Fame festivities. So send over your sharp thoughts, just like living the dream, Jeff. We're going to open up things, though, talking a little bit about the MLB trade deadline and what will the Brewers do if the Brewers will do anything. Brewers, even with the 10-3 loss yesterday, still number one in the NL Central, still number one record-wise in all of Major League Baseball. So the Brewers will begin August 1st, tomorrow, with just 2 months left in the regular season as the best team record-wise in all of Major League Baseball. So will they make a move to help bolster their roster, or do you not? Do you think they'll stand pat? What are your thoughts? What's your gut telling you? Let us know. Hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. And with pretty much the top third basemen gone and already traded, should the Brewers look at maybe acquiring an outfielder to help fill the void, maybe left by Jackson Churio? Still not quite sure how long he's going to be out with that hamstring injury. But do you think the Brewers maybe should focus on finding an outfielder, or is it bullpen help? Should they focus on adding more arms to a bullpen that has been used quite a bit this year? Let us know, kind of our informal poll question, but you can let us know. And if you have a person in mind, if you have a player in mind, hey, send that on over. It's kind of like we're about 12 hours to Christmas or something, and you got to do some last minute Christmas shopping here. Who is on that wish list for you? A couple people saying Arenado from the Cardinals. We've got just a couple people saying add more bullpen arms to the bullpen. And then Jeff, a different Jeff, says add a power hitting left fielder. And then we've got Chris saying add a center fielder to put Cheerio back and left. and Sal Frelick staying in right field. Isaac Collins can be the utility player coming off the bench. Then we've got another texter, Matt, saying focus on finding another outfielder, maybe a guy who could split some time at first base too. I like the guy from Baltimore as a potential player. So that would be Ryan O'Hearn from Baltimore, who could play first base, also play some outfield, probably mostly left field out there. So keep those names coming. Yesterday, Brewers falling to the Cubs 10-3, not able to complete the sweep of the Cubs, but the Brewers still holding a slight edge in terms of the season series. So, but we know that they've got 5 more games against the Cubbies coming up in the middle of August, towards the end of August. A lot of things could change between now and then. Lauren on our video stream saying Brew Crew should trade for Taylor Ward from the Angels. So keep those wish lists coming. You can hit us up on the text. Give me a player that you want to see traded, intern.
To the Brewers?
To the Brewers.
You know, the Cheerios situation changes a whole lot, because I was thinking before Cheerio got hurt, I was thinking they were going to stand pat. But now I think they're going to have to try and do something. You know, they mentioned Arenado, but St. Louis in the same division.
I can't see that. Yeah.
No, would they make that trade? And if they would, you'd have to give up the ranch to get him. So that's off the table. I'd be shocked. But I don't know who is out there. And, you know, when you're getting them at the trade deadline, it's expensive. It really is. I don't know that they're going to do anything. Should they? Yeah, probably. But expense-wise and the way the Brewers watch their dollars, which they have to do, I don't think they're going to do anything.
You know, going to Taylor Ward there too. I know he's up there in age. He's got another year of arbitration potentially available as well. So that would maybe kind of pique the interest of the Brewers over there. So that's an interesting name that Lauren sent over. But so your gut kind of is telling you that you think they're going to stand pat, and do you agree with that they should stand pat and not mess with the mojo that they got going on?
That's part of the reason I think they're going to stand pat, because, you know, they brought in Vaughn, but that wasn't a big deal. They didn't have to get rid of anybody to get him. So, you know,
Savali, but
he wanted to go anyway. But I don't think there's going to be much roster change. This roster is working. Pat Murphy knows how to win with this roster, and I just don't see him throwing a lot of money at somebody at the 11th hour here.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be surprised.
I think they'll probably do a bullpen arm. You know, they'll probably look at another
Something
bullpen
minor.
arm. Yeah, something like that. I mean, you know, the moving the needle types, and even when you look at what's left out there, I mean, the big third basemen are kind of gone, except for maybe a guy like Taylor Ward or Nolan Arenado and such. But, you know, the big fish of Suarez is gone. They don't need a starting pitcher, so they're not going to go and get one of those big name starting pitchers out there. We know that.
And I hope people don't panic over what Peralta did yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I hope, we're not overreacting too much to that game.
No.
And, you know, overall successful series against the Cubs. I think you got to be happy taking 2 out of 3 against Chicago.
You really do. And Peralta has that history. He'll go 5, 6, 7 games where he is out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll throw a clunker in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be surprised his next start if he wasn't outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you know, that doesn't diminish yesterday. It doesn't diminish the outstanding season that he's had so far here for the Crew, and he's a big reason why they're in this spot. Let's be real, you know. So,
and everybody talks about it. Well, when they get in the playoffs and Peralta starts that first game, I don't think that's a guarantee at all. The way Brandon Woodruff is coming on, and Mizraski is learning, and by the time they get to hopefully the playoffs, he might be a guy that would be the first guy out there. So I don't think it's a given that Peralta would be the starter for a first playoff game.
You might go with a little experience too for a game one start to
Mhm.
for that. C-Bomb says Tyler Ward would be decent, or Matt Chapman would add a little more pop. All depends if they want a third baseman or outfielder. And that's the thing too, is like they obviously really like Caleb Durbin. So, and
And
you
rightly so, he's
right.
performed.
Yeah. And
I was hoping the other day in the game that he was on deck coming up, and he they were down 3 or 4 runs, and I was hoping he was gonna get a chance to come up and make the big hit or make the last out, but they got one guy away from him, and he didn't come in.
mhm. That I would say at this point, I love Joey Ortiz's defense, but he's still kind of struggling offensively here. I think it was good catch by the camera angle. It was a couple of games ago. You had Pat Murphy really talking to Joey Ortiz on the bench, and you could tell it was probably about his approach at the plate. Because again, you're looking at two first pitches down the middle and not even swinging at them. And I don't know his mindset. So I don't know what's the philosophy going up there. But I mean, when you're already in an 0-2 hole, pitcher's just licking its chops at that point. So I love Joey Ortiz's defense. I think he is one of the best defensive shortstops in this game. But is it at a point where it's like you do have to sacrifice a little bit of defense just to maybe get a little bit more offense? If you could find that. Now, I'll be honest. I've tried to find some potential shortstops out there. It it's not like the plethora of outfielders out there. I know Correa is getting talked about, but it seems like if he gets traded, it's only going to be to Houston because he's got a no trade clause and such. So, the shortstops are very, very limited out there. And I know some fans have thrown this out there. Caleb Durbin, I don't want at shortstop. I don't think you can just throw him at shortstop at this
I don't
point
think
in
he's
time.
quick enough.
Yeah, and you got the best record in Major League Baseball. I don't know if I want to try an experiment at short. That position's way too important to be doing something like that. Could Terang do it? Probably. But again, the question is, do you want to do that with just 2 months left in the regular season? Do you want to switch? You're essentially then changing up 2 positions, possibly even 3 if you put Caleb Durbin over at second, then you got somebody else at third. I don't know if they want to mess a whole lot with that. Easiest thing would just try to find another shortstop like a Willie Adames and bring him in, but who is that guy at this point?
And
That's
one of the things you do if you get a guy like that, shortstop is a very highly compensated position once they establish themselves. Adamas is a good example. He came to the Brewers, he wasn't all that much. He left the Brewers and he's set for life with a contract he signed. And I don't know if he's I was so surprised he's gone so downhill from last year when he was playing third base. He wasn't he wasn't going to be a Hall of Fame hitter ever, but I didn't think he'd be this bad.
mhm. Yeah, so I think there was a lot of optimism, last year. It's like, okay, offensively is pretty good, maybe, nothing awesome, but like, okay, I'd take that, kind of production maybe from a shortstop. But this year is just really, really fallen down.
Yeah, it's so disappointing.
So I mean, honestly, if there was that guy out there, if there was a position, as much as I love Joey Ortiz's defense and he's such a wizard with that glove and that, if they can upgrade, I think just a little bit offensively from shortstop, I think they have to take a look at that.
I think so too, because you he's almost worse having a pitcher in the ninth spot. We're not getting any advantage from the designated hitter because you've got that hole in the ninth position still. You
Mhm.
don't have, a lot of teams will have a pretty decent guy at number 9 to turn the order over. Ortiz at number 9 because they're hiding him. They don't want him to come to the plate very often, and that's a big difference.
Mhm. I don't know, another name we've kind of thrown out there who could be a utility type is Willie Castro from the Twins, who can play multiple positions. That would kind of fit maybe a little bit of a Brewers type of mold, a guy that can, you can plug in at second, third, shorts, but I got a feeling his price might be a little bit high up there too because Willie Castro's name's been attached to a lot of teams, including one like the Yankees and such. So, but outfielder, I like the possibility of a guy like Ryan O'Hearn. You're going to sacrifice a little bit on defense in the outfield, but the Brewers have tried that many times with Jake Bauers. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they're not opposed to it at this point, but I just, I feel more confident they're going to add a bullpen arm than any other position today. I feel like that's if we did the pecking order, I feel like, yeah, I'm pretty confident they're going to do that. Everywhere else, I don't know if they're going to do anything.
I feel the same way. And I was watching the crawl last night, watching a ball game, and it seems like everybody that's getting traded is getting traded for minor league prospects. There aren't a lot of major leaguers going from team to team. If team wants a guy, they're getting him, and they're giving up minor leaguers. So you look at the Brewers' minor league options. Is Tobias Myers going to be somebody that they
Mhm.
would let go? I think he's got a lot of upside once he works out whatever the challenges is he's facing now. But who else in their minor league system?
Yeah, I mean, Robert Gasser's making some rehab starts right now in single A, but then I know Brewers fans right now aren't going to like this. You do take a look at next year's pitching staff, starting rotation. There's a good chance Jose Quintana won't be there. Brandon Woodruff might not be there because he's a free agent. Maybe they trade Freddie Peralta. So, I mean, you're looking at potential 3 openings in that starting rotation. So, how many of those guys do you want to trade? You know,
Exactly. That's what I'm
Mizorowski's going to
talking
be in
about.
there. You got Logan Henderson, I would assume, is going to get a shot at being in there again. Quinn Priester's probably going to get a shot. Maybe a Chad Patrick, Tobias, back in there. So I don't know how much they would want to trade one of their potential starters because they're probably going to have at least, I would imagine, half of that starting rotation is going to be open for jobs next year.
I think so too. I think Quintana is a given that he's going to be gone. He would just kind of stopgap for this year. And I was watching him his last outing the other day, and I was disappointed. He's had a good season for the Brewers. I'm not taking anything away from him, but his last outing was very, very mediocre at best. I don't know if he's getting tired, but it looks like he was really struggling and he couldn't get the ball in the strike zone. And I was a little nervous about that because he's the only left arm we got.
Yeah, and then you got Nestor Cortez coming up, but he's going to be back, or he's not going to be back next year either. He's probably going to get somewhere else with a starting deal and such too. And
Yep.
he's a lefty there, but I know, this is a very, I think it's a little different than years past with this trade deadline for the Brewers because they're in such a unique position of being the number 1 team record wise.
I was going to say, I think the front office, including Atanasio, are surprised how good this team is doing. And I think they're a little bit uncertain what they should do. Are these guys, Collins, Durbin, are they flash in the pan? Do we count on them in the future? Do we go ahead and get somebody else? They've got a lot of questions that are going through their mind.
They do. You bring up a guy like Isaac Collins, who, he's getting talk about maybe some rookie of the year votes and such. And you got to tip your cap to the job that he has done this year. I mean, he would be one of those guys too that I would argue, where would this team be without Isaac Collins for some of his big hits and production that he's had?
Durbin the same way.
Right. And
he's played a nice third base.
Yep. And yeah, they're not power guys. But boy, you look at some of their clutch hits, they're up there in terms of, runners in scoring position and getting guys in, not by a home run, by moving the runners across, hitting a single or a double or something like that. That's still incredibly valuable. It may not be the sexiest thing, but they're getting the job done.
Absolutely. It might be not the statistics that everybody uses nowadays. It's more old time baseball, but it's winning baseball. And that's all I care about, and any fan cares about. Your team is winning.
Yeah. So, I mean, just look at the other night when they made that comeback victory against the Cubs. It was Isaac Collins with that clutch hit to get the 2 RBIs or 2 runs scored in there. So I don't envy the position Matt Arnold's in right now because I do think it's something that they're discussing. Where's that balance? How much do we want to change with what's got us to this point right now? Yes, we probably need another power bat, but at what cost? What's it worth at that point? That's the balance they got to figure out.
No question. Agree with you 100%.
And chemistry wise, I get that. I get that concern from others, but I also feel like I think Pat Murphy's got a really good hold, and I think that clubhouse is in a really good spot that I wouldn't be too concerned about, adding somebody in. I think that clubhouse is in a good spot right now.
Well,
So,
it's a team that doesn't have a star.
mhm.
They got a lot of really good players. Yelich is having a nice season. Durang, Terang, I want to see him get better offensively. Sal Freelake is going to be a star. I think he's past Terang
Mhm.
as far as value to the team. And so, yeah, they've got a lot of decisions to make. Should we ride with what we've got? They're successful so far. Or do we mess with the chemistry and bring somebody in?
Yeah. That's why I don't envy him right now.
No, I don't either.
How do you
And
do
I
that?
wonder, my question is, how much say does Pat Murphy have in this with the front office? Can he convince them, or does he try to convince them that we've got chemistry and talent that's working? Look at the record. Or does he say, I see a few cracks here and
Mhm.
there? We've got to do something. I'd like to know what his input into this is all about.
And I would hope that they would get his input since he's with that ball club and with those guys almost every waking minute of every day.
Oh, they'd be derelict in duty if they didn't go
Right.
to Murphy.
Exactly. So I don't know if if you were to ask Murphy, would he say, you know what, we just need something better out of shortstop? I mean, or hey, we've really used a lot of our guys in the bullpen, Jared Koenig and Abner Uribe. We need another arm in there. I would really, really hope that they would and such. And honestly, is it all going to boil down to whether Mark Atanasio checks off on everything? I mean,
Always is. He's
yeah,
got the last say.
yeah. And I know it's easy for us because we're fans in that, but it's like if you got to the point where like, hey, we could get this guy and it would really help. I mean,
At what cost?
yeah.
Both up front,
And
giving up talent, and on the backside, you're going to get him just for a couple of months, or you're going to try and sign him to a longer term. What's that going to cost us? What does that mean? Is try to sign Woodford, trying to sign Peralta. So many implications, so many irons in the fire.
yeah, I just it's again such a unique situation. And I think even like the MLB insiders and analysts are kind of like they don't have an idea what the Brewers are going to do. Usually when you're talking about a team in first place, you could kind of pinpoint, oh, they're probably going to do this or try to do this and that. And it's like, but it's the Brewers. We have no idea what the heck is going to happen or what
There
they're
is
going to do.
nobody, whether it be in Milwaukee, Eau Claire, Chicago, New York, LA, that watches and follows baseball, predicted the Brewers would be in first place on the 1st of August.
Yeah. Nobody.
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 Not me, not you.
Yeah.
We hope they'd be competitive, but this is, you know, beyond what we had hoped,
Mm-hmm.
let
Yeah.
alone thought.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll have plenty more. We got to take a quick break, but continue to send us your thoughts. Is there a player on your wish list in this remaining hours of little Christmas shopping? If you were doing a little shopping to add a player to the Brewers and such, send us that name. All right. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back after these quick words. At Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, you're more than just a customer. You are a part of the family. From the moment you walk in, their amazing team is dedicated to helping you find the perfect flooring for your home or business. And whether you're looking for carpet, tile, or luxury vinyl planks, they've got a wide range of options to fit any style and budget. And when it comes to price, hey, they will match or beat the competition. Their commitment to outstanding customer service means they're here to guide you through every step from the selection to the installation, ensuring that you get exactly what you need with no pressure. For quality, value, and a team that treats you like that family, go visit our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Couple of texts here. I don't have a name for this texter, but texter says, I want the Brewers to get either a shortstop with a little pop that doesn't give up defense and just take a reliever from the same team so we don't have to give up too many guys. C-Bomb says, we've come a long way since the Yankees and the Torpedo Bat series. I don't think a different shortstop is a bad idea. Use Ortiz for defensive game situations. Stephen Kwan would be a great addition, not a boatload of power, but a guy flirting with 300 would be a great addition. That was kind of the sneaky guy that I kind of was thinking about a little bit too. So, I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed if they went and got a outfielder instead of a shortstop or something. I mean, here's the thing too, for everybody that I think said don't make a move because you're worried about chemistry and such. But if they do make a move and they get a big time player or somebody that moves the needle, you're still going to probably be pumped up and excited about it, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. And I'm saying I don't think they'll make a move. It's not that I don't want them to make a move.
Right.
I just think that right now, who's out there and what kind of return are you going to get? Because you've got to overpay now. Like you said earlier, we're in the last 12 hours. So they're
It's a game of chicken right now.
Yeah, they're going to try and hold you up.
Yeah, it's a game of chicken between, teams who are sellers and teams that are maybe getting a little desperate or really, really, really want a guy. And let's be real here too. The other teams aren't stupid. If the Brewers are calling them, inquiring about maybe one of their sluggers, they know the Brewers need a power hitter. They're not stupid.
Let me ask you this. Now, we've had a lot of trades, no blockbusters unless I miss something. Which teams do you think are the most desperate to make a move before the trade deadline? Because I don't think the Brewers are desperate.
No.
They could use a little more help, no question about it. But I think that even the Cubs, with their pitching situation, are more in need of doing something outlandish than the Brewers. I mean, either league, which, like the Angels, I thought the Angels would be sellers, but somebody said the Angels are buyers.
Yeah, they made a move yesterday. I think it was to acquire some pitching help because they're going to try to get in the postseason too. So, the desperate teams. This was ESPN had a list of 6 teams, and we talked about this a few days ago of who they thought were the desperate teams. Yankees were number 1. I think part of it is too the Aaron Judge injury situation. Phillies, Tigers, Mariners, which they just added Suarez, so that was probably the big fish out there. Mets and Padres, which I thought Cubs would be one of those top desperate teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, with their pitching.
Right. I thought they would put them in there, especially, I mean, they're just one game back from the Brewers. So, not just for the Central, but for the number 1 seed in the National League. And I think it's clearly evident they could probably use some help with starting pitching and such. So I thought maybe the Cubs, I agree with you. I think Cubs are a little bit more desperate than the Brewers at this point.
And it's surprising to me that the Phillies are maybe in the desperate category because I think they're just underperforming.
Maybe that's why they're in the desperate category to get players.
I think, and that has to be frustrating for the money they paid, Turner at shortstop and Realmuto behind the plate and so many other players. They've got a big salary, and for them to be struggling and desperate and searching, that I think goes to the players more than anybody.
Yeah. But kind of going back to C-Bomb's point, doesn't seem like it was that long ago when we were freaking out about torpedo bats and then Brewers getting dominated.
Right. And that first series, they lost about 35-6 against the Yankees. That was They thought, "Oh boy, this is going to be fun."
But it's also a reminder we still got 2 months left too, so that could easily change,
That's
again
right.
here, but, I mean, that's what I keep saying, it could change in 2 months, but that's why you enjoy it right now, because this is I keep using the word fun watching this team and that, and I know they lost yesterday and that, but it's like, I don't know, it's a different vibe with this team. They win, I feel like a little old school type of ways, manufacturing runs. I mean, the other day, the game 2 when they won the Cubs, before they started to hit home runs, they were scoring on sacrifice flies. They were putting bunts down to move runners in scoring position. It was kinda like old school baseball back during that part of that game, and that's how they were, getting the lead and staying the lead. It's like that's what I remember baseball being about
Yeah,
a little bit.
exactly. And I watch just because they're always on the Yankees. I think 3 or 4 games in the last 2 weeks. They don't hit home runs, they don't win.
Mhm.
The most I think the most overrated, overpaid, fading star, if he ever was a star, is Giancarlo Stanton for the Yankees. It's either all or nothing for him.
Mhm.
I mean, he just swipes at anything in the batter's box. If his bat happens to come in contact with the ball, it's going to go. But I think he's done.
Yeah, I know he's got, what is it with both shoulders, almost, what was it? We talked to Doctor Crow about it too. It was like kinda like an arthritis sort of thing
Hmm.
there, and I'm like, "Well, all he does is that's all he can do right now is, like, hit because he can't run or anything." So, yeah, he's wearing
And
down
he's not
big time.
hitting very well either because he looks defenseless almost at the plate.
Mhm. Yep. So, continue to send us your wish list. Hit us up with a quick text at 1-5-830-1912. We'll get back to plenty more baseball talk with the MLB trade deadline coming up, well, at 5 o'clock today. So we'll see if the Brewers make any moves today, if they stand pat, that sort of thing. But yes, the Cubs did acquire a couple of pitchers, but really, like, guys that didn't really move the needle. I mean, they got Mike Sorka from the Nationals, who's 3-8 this year with a 4.87 ERA, and a couple of bullpen guys too. So,
Well, they had to do something or their fans would have gone
mhm.
crazy.
Well, I think their fan. I don't want to speak for Cubs fans because I don't want to get in their minds right now, but they're probably looking for like a Zach Gallen, type of starting pitcher,
Hmm.
somebody of that caliber that they want to add to their rotation.
And
So,
that team's got a lot of money,
mhm.
but I don't know if that ownership will spend it.
They spent it on a manager, but we'll see what's
Well, yeah, and Dansby Swanson, Ian Happ, and they've got some guys that they're going to stay on top. They're going to have to pay because they do have some good players in that lineup, good
Mhm.
young players that are going to have a contract coming up. But
Well, Kyle
will they
Tucker
pay?
being one of them.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean. He's good.
That's why I thought they would be a little bit more desperate, to try to take advantage of that too. So, all right, 1 hour in. We got 2 more to go. Plenty more baseball talk coming up. I'm gonna talk a little Sterling Sharp. He's getting in the hall this weekend. We'll hit on that after these news updates. Second hour kicking off on this Thursday, the final day of July. Tomorrow will be August 1st. Doesn't feel like it's in the studio. Had somebody ask if we have like new backdrops yet because it looks really dark and spotlight on me. It's because it's really hot in the studio and I'm trying to limit the amount of heat coming through right now. So,
A lot of hot air in that studio.
apparently. So it's like I don't want to have the fan on so you don't hear a fan in the background. So that's why I'm like got a spotlight on me right now. It's the
I
only
noticed
light on.
kind of like mood lighting in there this
Yeah.
morning.
Yep. So just that's why it's because it's really hot in here, and I'm suffering through by not having a fan on, so you don't hear it in the background.
Well, it won't be long. We'll have new studios. I mean, things have been kind of
Mhm.
cobbled together for a while
Yep.
the new ones are being put together, but it won't be long.
Nope. So, and it won't be long until the trade deadline is here too. So 5 o'clock today. We'll keep you posted on the latest rumors out there. Been pretty quiet for the Brewers here, but that shouldn't be a big surprise to anybody at this point. So.
No, there hasn't been a blockbuster at all.
Suarez is probably the big one, but really there
Yeah.
wasn't a big. I seen some Brewers yesterday using the CC Sabathia comparison, but there isn't a CC Sabathia type of player out there on this market, right? There is.
If Arenado was traded, would he be the blockbuster?
I don't think so. Like, because Suarez, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's got 35 home runs, and it's the
Yeah.
first time somebody who's been traded with 35 home runs at the trade deadline. But even, it's not even like when Manny Machado got traded. Remember in 18, because the Brewers like, ooh, were they interested in Machado? And he got traded to the Dodgers. I mean, that's a blockbuster type of move. There
Mhm.
isn't even like, and that's no offense to Suarez because he is an all-star in that, but is he a big name that a lot of casual baseball fans know? Probably not. Probably
Not
not.
yet.
So, and that's not a knock on him. It's just, and he's having a fantastic year. And yeah, I would have loved if he could be with the Brewers with those dingers that he has right now. So, but it's interesting because I mean the Mariners, they're fighting for a wild card spot, so they're really trying to push for it and pairing him with Cal Raleigh too. So I mean that's a heck of a 1-2 punch.
A lot of home runs.
Mm-hmm. So, but continue to send us your list, wish list Brewers fans who you would like to see the Brewers try to acquire by the trade deadline today. Football begins tonight. Who cares? That's even me saying
I was
it.
going to say, you'll think, oh, we're going to look at the Lions. No, you're not.
No, gonna see the chart. No, you're not. I that should tell you something like I don't care either with the Hall of Fame game tonight. But yeah, football is back. But it's also a good weekend because Sterling Sharp will finally get his bust in Canton, the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Well deserved.
Yes. So the question I kind of threw out at the beginning of the players, now it's going to be dependent on your age, how long you've been around. So, Bob, you've been around a little bit longer than I have. You've seen some more players than I have, but I kind of threw out there is Sharp of the players you got to watch in person, a top 10 player, top 10 Packer of all time. Because I think for me, probably a top 10 talent wise player, but I know you got to see star play. You got to see, some of those Lombardi era players. So maybe he doesn't crack the top 10 for you. But for me, he's probably top 10 player talent wise.
I think he is for me too.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you look at those teams back then, there was a lot of talent, a lot of team talent. He was an individual talent. I mean, you look at him as far as Packer receivers, you go back to Don Hudson, you got James Lofton, got Sterling Sharp, he's right up there.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And if he hadn't had that injury, thank goodness he was smart enough to realize that my life is more important than football, he quit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only reason he hasn't been in the Hall of Fame earlier.
Right.
He's a Hall of Fame player. There's no question about it.
You look at some of the numbers he put up in the early 90s is just insane. And you factor in too the other receivers that were playing during his era. I mean, you're talking peak Jerry Rice, you're talking Michael Irvin, Tim Brown, other Hall of Fame wide receiver, Art Monk and that. And those guys had some, no offense, but Jerry Rice had a better quarterback.
I was going to say, and if Sterling Sharp had stayed healthy, I think the Packers would have 2 more Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
He was that good. That much of a difference maker. With Brett Favre,
yeah,
I think they'd had 2 more Super Bowls.
You look at his career, 7 years. And this is what kind of just, it's more painful too, that his career ended because of injury. But he never missed a game playing. Think about that. Never missed a game in the 7 years. Started all 16 games every single year. And you're looking at numbers like his second year in the league, led in catches, 90, over 1,400 receiving yards, 108 catches in 92, over 1,400 receiving yards again, 112 catches in 1993, AP All-Pro, first team 3 times, getting MVP votes in 92 and 93 for crying out loud. I mean, the guy was a monster. In 7 years, had 8,000 receiving yards already and 65 touchdown catches. I mean, he would have played. He would have set receiving records in Green Bay that would still be standing today.
Oh, there's no question about it. That's why I say I agree with you. He is a top 10 all-time talent for the Green Bay Packers.
It's just that he is one of the biggest what ifs. Every once in a while you ask, well, what if this player never got hurt? What would their career look like? Or what if this happened? He would easily, Donald Driver would not be the leading receiver in terms of yards. It'd be Sterling Sharp. Sterling Sharp he would break Don Hudson's record of touchdown catches. He'd have over 100. I'd be comfortable in saying Sterling Sharp would have over 100.
And I think it would also change the national discussion about Jerry Rice being head and shoulders above every other receiver. I think it would be Jerry Rice and Sterling Sharp. Ooh. I think he would have pushed him for a lot of those records. I'm not saying Jerry Rice doesn't deserve all his accolades. I just think Sterling Sharp would have been a factor in records that unfortunately he couldn't contend with because he couldn't play.
Mm, yeah.
I think he was that good.
Yeah, he was. And like I told this story before, but like he was probably the first star Packer player that I remember. Just from my first experience being a youngster and such. I mean, I had the kids Packers helmet with the shoulder pads and the pants and the jersey, and it was 84 on there. Didn't have a name on the back, so I wrote Sharp in a green permanent marker on a piece of paper, and Elmer glued it on the back. Lasted one wash after that, but he was the first star Packer player for my time frame.
Mount Rushmore of Packers.
Ooh, that's tough though.
I think from a
Are you just talking players? Just players?
Just players.
Okay.
Because Bart Starr is going to be on there. Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. They did some remarkable things. But as far as the top 3 quarterbacks all time for the Green Bay Packers, even though I saw him play a lot, Bart Starr to me is not number 1 nor number 2 as far as talent on the field. As far as a leader and a beloved Packer, yes. But Favre and Rodgers, talent-wise, number-wise, very much better. And so you look at, how everybody evaluates these guys different. You do it different. I do it.
Yep.
C-bomb everybody.
Yep.
But I think
nobody's right or wrong.
No, exactly.
Yep.
That's what's fun about being a fan.
Yep.
But I think as you're going to put the Mount Rushmore of Green Bay Packers on there, unfortunately, but just talent-wise, unfortunately, Sterling Sharp never got a chance to finish what he started, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm betting on the come here. But if he'd have played a whole career, he'd be on that Mount Rushmore Green Bay Packers in my mind.
I think if he played a whole career, he'd have a really good case. Talent-wise, still, I'd put Don Hudson up there too. Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to look.
And where about Ray Nitschke? And
Yep.
I mean, it's hard to do.
It's a good problem to have when you're talking about Packers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the discussion. That's the fun of being a fan because everybody's got their priorities and who they really liked and why. But
Mm-hmm.
I just always loved to watch Sterling Sharp play. You know, James Lofton's been in the Hall of Fame for a long time, and he was great, no question about it. But Sterling Sharp was special on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I would agree. I would agree. It's kind of like having the Yankees discussion. Who do you put on the
Yeah.
Yankees, Mel Rushmore? We're pretty spoiled with a lot of good options for the Packers, and that's just player wise. I mean, you could throw in Lombardi and then Lambeau if you want to do coaches or
Mhm.
anything like that. So,
Yeah, and you can tilt that so many ways by saying, here's the criteria. Well, you got your set of criteria.
mm-hmm.
I might have mine that are different.
Yep.
So, there's no limit to who could be on there depending on that criteria.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it's a fun one to do when you do like your top 5 Packers wide receivers of all
Oh
time.
boy.
Because I think for me, there's a couple of locks for sure. Sharp and Hudson would be
And
right there,
James
and
Lofton.
Lofton. Yep, and those would be like the 3. Then you're like, okay, you got Driver who's 10,000, and this is not a knock on Driver, but would you ever consider him the best wide receiver in any year in the league? I don't think you could.
No, I don't think so.
Devontae, you
One of the
could.
most consistent.
Yep,
Yep. Yeah,
Devontae,
Devontae.
you could. You got Jordy thrown in there. You know, it gets interesting after those top 3.
Freeman had a great
Yep,
career
yep,
with Green Bay.
yep.
There are a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. So it's always a nice little. If you ever want to sit around a bar stool with a bunch of Packers fans, you can do something like that over there. But
It'll be after bar time before you get done with the discussion.
mm-hmm. Yep. So, but yeah, memories. I mean, there's good ones that stick in my head. I mean, obviously the Lions playoff game when Favre just chucks it, across his body down there and such. There's a lot of it's just I'm glad to finally see that we've switched that tide or changed that tide in the voting process, because to get these guys who had no control how long their careers went, like a Sterling Sharp, he didn't choose to retire early. He was forced essentially to retire early, and rightfully so. And he should that was the smart decision to
Oh,
do
no
that.
question about it.
But
But he put up enough numbers
mhm,
that he deserves to be in there. If he'd only played 2 or 3 years and say, "Oh, he would have been a star." Well, wouldas and shouldas and couldas,
mhm,
but he was a star.
yep. There was no denying it. You can watch what he did on that field, and again, did most of it without a Hall of Fame quarterback before Favre got there too, which is even more. And that's not a knock on anybody, but it kind of is a little bit too. So, but it's just he was such a fun player to watch. Gosh. So, all right, let's take a quick break. Continue to send us your thoughts. Hit us up with a text 715-830-1912. MLB trade deadline day is today. Are the Brewers going to do anything? What does your gut say? What is your gut telling you? Let us know. Okay. What's your gut saying? I want to hear from you. All right. We'll take that quick break and we'll be back here in just a few short minutes. Well, in about 24 hours, Surveyor Sam will be teeing off to defend his title at the Casper Classic. Let me shut this fan off here quick. There we go. So we'll be over at Lake Cali Golf Course tomorrow for the Classic. So it'll be here before you know it is 24 hours away. So big thanks again to Lake Cali Golf Course for hosting us. Our partners, Park Ridge Distributing, Edward Jones, Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Carpet City Flooring Center, Eau Claire, VFW Post 305, Myron Construction, Dudage Inn, AJM Automotive Services, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, Economy Furniture, Muldoon's Menswear, Home Oasis, Service Master, Trillium Spinal Care, The Alchemist Hot Sauce, and to those who have donated some prizes as well, that's Chippewa River Industries, Spectrum Industries, awards, and more. The Luminary Wellness Center. We've got, Economy Furniture also donating a chair. Service Master has donated a couple of awesome prize baskets. Brandon's mom and Rocky with 3 prize baskets they're donating. So a big thanks to them.
Is Brandon's mother going to be the entertainment?
Probably.
Do a little singing?
Yeah, maybe.
I saw her at Country Jam, and I said I wanted to hear her sing, and she wouldn't sing for me.
She didn't have enough beverages then probably at that point. So, but a big thanks to everybody. And I know listener Paul who donated. This is awesome. So we have a listener named Paul. He donated, I think it was about 5 or 6 autographed Robin Yount cards for our raffle.
Wow.
So
good deal. How did he get those?
He's a big Robin Yount fan and a big collector.
He
so
must be.
yeah.
Wow.
But a big thanks to Paul for that, because that's fantastic. And everybody else who has done that too. We've got some Brewers tickets, giving away Packers, got a couple of items from them too. So but I do have a goal. I'm just going to tell you all this right now. Okay. I got to be out of there by 4:30. Got to be out of there by 4:30. For some reason, they changed Hudson's game time for his last tournament to 5 p.m. I don't know why. They just did it a couple days ago. So I've made it my life goal. I'll never miss a Little League game or a game from Hudson. So I got to be there by 5. At least it's in Eau Claire. So, but what are you smiling at for me?
A modern dad.
What?
Never miss a game.
I don't want to miss a game.
Well, I don't blame you, but I say that's a modern dad, a modern parent.
Yeah, I don't want to miss any, because he's growing up way too quick right now. So, and it's his final baseball tournament this year. So,
but
got to be there.
My dad liked watching, and he'd go to the game, but he didn't never went to all the games. They just didn't in that era. We were responsible. We were 7, 8, 9 years old. We rode our bikes to the park. Now dad and mom take them, drop them off, pick them up, and it's just a different world.
Yeah. But see, I don't know how. I hope he continues to play, but I'm not going to force him. So that's why I want to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't blame you. I just say it's just the way the modern world is changing.
That's my goal. Don't know if it'll ever happen. I hope that's the case, but we'll see.
So far you're perfect, right?
I 100% perfect.
There you go.
Yep. We were at Tomahawk this last weekend. His first time staying in a
How old
hotel.
Is he?
8.
And you went to Tomahawk?
Yeah.
That's another difference between the modern era and when we were kids.
I remember my tournaments were the small towns right around us.
Exactly.
But they were his first overnight experience and that. But they won it, so good for them.
Dad put about 7 kids in the minivan, take them to the game, and when you got home, you told your parents how you did.
Oh yeah, I remember those days too.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, final tournament, and then it's football practice right after that. So there you go. It never stops.
Flag football?
Flag football. Yep. So, and then school.
That attitude never changes. I was the same way, no matter how old you are. Summertime, the first day of school, I always sit there and I'm thinking, what was I doing yesterday at this time? I was out playing ball or swimming or doing something, not sitting at a desk listening to a nun. Every time, all the way through school, high school, grade school, didn't matter. I always thought that first day, what was I doing yesterday at this time? I know I wasn't here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's why I enjoy it now, kids. Right? I remember as a
Mhm.
kid always asking, like, school, I'd rather go to work in school, and everybody be like, no, you don't.
No, that's right.
So, well, I guess it depends on the job, though. You have, though, too, probably. So,
Oh, absolutely.
so,
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
which, speaking of which, maybe some people will be changing their locations of work today, like that transition. MLB trade deadline today. Still, I mean, you got some rumors kind of floating out there, like the Cubs apparently interested in Shane Bieber from Cleveland. I mean, you got, some of these insiders here saying, well, so and so, like Bob Nightingale 14 minutes ago, St. Louis Cardinals, who are wide open for business, have several teams, including the Astros and the Phillies, expressing interests in the likes of Lars Nootbaar, Alec Burleson, and Brendan Donovan. So get ready for a lot of that. Also, it says Texas Rangers, who are under financial constraints, are hoping to clear a bit of payroll today to bring in help for their bullpen. They are tied with the Mariners for the third and final wild card spot.
Who's
So,
Verlander pitching for right now?
Giants, and it's funny you say that because there was one report too that the Giants are interested in moving Justin Verlander.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that last night that, and evidently he's amenable to it if they can find a team that he would okay that. But
mhm.
what has he got left to give you?
That's I'm just bringing up. So this year he's 1-8 with a 4.53 ERA.
That's less than average by far.
Mm-hmm.
He's not worth a lot.
I know his last game was just on Tuesday, and it wasn't bad. 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run. Didn't get any run support, obviously, and Giants have just really been struggling here as of late. But yeah, I don't what and I know it's prorated salary, but I think it's still pretty big chunk when it comes to a guy like Verlander. So
Oh, it's a big chunk.
I just, yeah, I don't know. I'd like with the
I don't know why
Cubs.
he's hanging on because it's been a while since he had a season that's worthy of that salary.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think anybody's gonna trade for him. Do you? I don't think anybody's gonna want. I don't.
He might, for the Giants to maybe get out from under a contract, they'd pay half, and the new team would pay half. But he's only want to go to a contender.
I would have met. Yeah.
I wouldn't want him on the Brewers because I
No.
don't think he's good enough anymore.
I don't know if, and this is just I'm throwing out like would the Tigers want to bring him back for some? I don't know. I'm just trying to like what teams has he played for that are still contenders that he would want to go to. Pickings are slim after that.
Well, they are, but some of these teams have more money than sense.
Mm-hmm.
So would the Dodgers go after? Would the Cubs go after him? They're looking for pitching. Some of those teams that have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if Council would want to have Verlander. They're basically the same age, and I don't know if the boss-employee relationship would work real well.
Mm-hmm. MLB.com for every team. They've got it listed what to watch for every team with the trade deadline today. What do they have to say for the Brewers? Says Matt Arnold already made impactful in-season trades for Quinn Priester, Andrew Vaughn, and now acquiring Danny Jansen earlier this week, but he remains open to adding power to a lineup with little of it if a deal can be made without costing a top prospect. And he would like to fortify a hard-worked bullpen. Jared Koenig scuffled against the Cubs on Wednesday while making his 51st appearance, matching Abner Uribe's team lead. Only 4 pitchers in the majors have appeared more as of 24 hours prior to the deadline. So think about that. That's how much Koenig and Uribe has pitched. Only 4 pitchers, bullpen pitchers, have appeared more than those 2 guys.
I think Major League Baseball has brought this on themselves because we've talked about this ad nauseum. But when you've got starters that are only asked to go 5, maybe 6, how many complete games have we had this year in the majors? I don't think a whole lot. You're automatically putting a lot of pressure on relievers because if they pitch 2 innings, they're done for 3 or 4 days. So without having starting pitchers that can go deep into games, these teams in Major League Baseball putting so much pressure on the bullpen. And we never used to have that, but it is now.
And I think a lot of it too is you look at, Freddie Peralta. He's having a great year, but what's one thing he still struggles? He gets that pitch count up really
Mm-hmm.
quick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you can get 6, you're probably lucky, with Freddie Peralta.
Well, that's why his nickname is 5-inning Freddie.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you can, that taxes your bull. You're almost guaranteed to sit there and say, okay, Freddie's on the mound today. We're going to have a few relievers getting ready too. And that's where I think the Brewers are kind of in a unique spot, though, too, with some of their bullpen guys, because like he just did it the other day, Aaron Ashby gave him 3 innings. He's a former starter working in the bullpen, a guy that can eat a couple innings for you. Same with, when Tobias Myers was in there, but DL Hall can do the same. He's a starter, former starter that can eat you a couple innings. So at least they got that. But then, if they do that, then are they, like you said, down for a couple days then?
I
after
think so.
the 3
And
innings.
Ashby can be good, but you don't want to overuse him because I think he's been overused. The other day he was not effective at all. But I think too you get into that reliever mentality. I'll go an inning, maybe 2, then I'm going to be off for 2 or 3 days. But then if I'm asked to come in earlier than that, I'm not ready mentally. And I think Ashby is one of those guys that can really do a nice job, but don't use him too much.
Yeah, that's because, he did I thought, really helped out that bullpen in their second win against the Cubs, after Quinn Priester. They only used 2 pitchers in that game with Priester and Ashby after the night before when Mizorowski had that pitch count up quite a bit. And, that was invaluable to be able to do that because, well, who was starting the next day? Freddie Peralta. So, you're going to have bullpen guys ready to go.
Yeah,
So
that's right. That's what I say. Ashby does a nice job if you don't overuse him, and that's the danger.
So, but that's where I feel like, again, I think we're going to get a bullpen guy today. I couldn't tell you who. It might even be a guy that we're like, okay, we got to look up this guy. You probably don't even know who he is. Kind of maybe like a Nick Mears from last year. They're going to get a bullpen guy. After that, I don't know. I don't know.
I think too, if they're going to make a move, I think it will be in the bullpen. I don't think there are position players out there that are going to be worth what you'd have to give up. I think you'd kind of be desperate is what it amounts with what's left out there available.
And, I know we've been talking about, shortstops and such. Would they bring in a different shortstop? And again, I know fans are going to hate this mindset, but I think this is part of probably their thinking is like, okay, do they feel like maybe their top prospects, shortstop prospect, Cooper Pratt's going to be ready to come up next year? So are they going to want to invest in bringing in a shortstop this year if they already kind of envision Cooper Pratt taking that role next year? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Like maybe that's part of where they have that limit in terms of a price tag. We're like, yeah, we're interested in this guy, but at this value because we're not going to commit long-term to him because we feel like Cooper's going to be our guy next year. I don't know if that's what they're thinking. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what the Brewers are thinking,
I'm sure that's in the equation, especially if they're looking at him next year. Be nice to find the kid again.
Right.
Robin Yount at 18 years old played forever, and then he went into the outfield. But at shortstop is the one position in the field that hangs over this team. Churio with hopefully a minor injury. I don't know where Garrett Mitchell is coming back, but some of these other guys, I'm not worried about the outfield. Yelich can play in the outfield if he has to, not on an everyday basis, but he can go out there and play and do a sufficient job. I just shortstop is the one position that hangs over this team that I think is the most questionable when you talk about the position players. They traded for a catcher, Contreras. I don't know how his offense hasn't been what it was a year ago. Now he's hurt a little bit, and I don't know how serious that might be. Are they going to have surgery for him to end his year? I don't know.
No, they've already come out and said, Pat Murphy and that, I mean, pretty much that Contreras is still doing his regular load. That like
Well, that's
they're
what I
not,
thought.
but it's still kind of. I think a lot of fans were kind of like, okay, but it almost felt like, is it going to be one of those situations where we see a pitcher always matched up with a catcher? A certain like every
Mhm.
4 days, 5 days, or something. I don't know if that's part of the thinking a little bit, or they just wanted to improve their depth behind Contreras in case Contreras' finger injury becomes worse. I don't know if it can become worse or anything like that. And they wanted to have a little bit of protection in that aspect, possibly. But, Matt Arnold has already come out and said, just so you know, you're still the guy, he told Contreras. Pat Murphy said the other day, he's like, in typical Pat Murphy fashion, he's going to get his regular workload. Yes, he's got a broken finger, but he's been dealing with this for 2 years. We're not going to do anything different and all that sort of stuff. So, but it's still, I think there was probably a little bit more to it than just improving the depth. I think it was maybe for some protection in case something happens to Contreras or if that injury can get worse.
Well, if you're a catcher, which hand is his broken finger?
It's left. It's the one he catches with.
And
Yeah.
that's you're in every play. A third baseman or a second baseman with the broken finger on his left hand, that's one thing. But a catcher, outside of balls that are hit, you're handling the ball every play.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a lot of difference. And he's got to be tough to deal with that, besides when he's hitting, squeezing the bat.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it sometimes in his reaction, like if it's a foul ball tip or so you can kind of see him shaking his hand. And just like on the days that he's got to catch Mizorowski and then Abner Uribe and Trevor McGill,
There's some heat there.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could tell it's affecting him a little bit, especially in the off. I know they keep saying he's got to get back to his off, but you talk about left-handed bat at the bottom of the barrel there too. Of course, it's going to affect it a little bit.
That's
I
what I
mean,
say. I don't know if surgery can heal it up once and for all. They're just going to let it heal on its own, and it's going to be one of those aggravating injuries that these guys will play through. But how effective are they?
mm-hmm. Yeah, that might be an off-season type of discussion at that point, but they're saying everything right, that Contreras, his role is not going to change, his playing time's not going to change. Maybe this would make him feel a little bit more comfortable where, all right, you're going to take a day here. You're going to take a day because, Jansen comes in, he does have more homers than Contreras this year,
Mhm.
does have a better OPS than Contreras.
And I
But
know Contreras likes to play, but maybe if you sat him down and say, "Look, William, we're going to give you a week off. We're going to let that finger get better. Then you're coming right back in." I mean, I don't know if they would ever do that, if he would ever stand for that. I don't know if it would disrupt the locker room. You don't know, but you'd almost like to see him get a little break, because he does. He wants to play 7 days a week.
mhm,
He's a gamer,
yep.
but might a week off really make a difference?
Well, then I look at this stretch they got coming up in August. So they start a series against the Reds on August 15th. They don't have an off day until September 2nd from that stretch. And that also includes a doubleheader against the Cubs in there. That is a long time to go without an off day.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well,
So,
I would think he's going to get some rest in that period.
and that's where I'm kind of looking at a stretch like that. I'm like, okay, forecasting it a little bit, that might be an opportunity to get a couple days off in there because you wrap that and then you're into September and that's the final month and that's the final push.
Yeah, second game of a doubleheader, a day game after a night game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Rest that, soak that finger in Epsom salt.
But or do the old Ryan Braun and freeze it or whatever the heck he
Yeah.
had to do back in the day with his thumb. So, but that I look at stretches like that, I'm like, okay, that's where a move like that makes sense to give him a day, couple days and such. So, but yeah, that is you got Cincinnati on the road for 3 games, Cubs on the road for 5 games in 4 days. You got the Giants for 3 games, the Diamondbacks, then you're on the road against Toronto, then you come back against the Phillies. That could be almost a season-defining stretch. almost at that
Mhm.
point. So, because you're done. After that, it's Pittsburgh, it's Texas, the Cardinals, the Angels, Cardinals, Padres, and Reds. That's it.
Yeah, we said the same thing, though, earlier in the year. Oh, they're going through a gauntlet, and here they are with the best record in baseball.
And I think I would have to double check, but it was accurate the other day. They have the best record against teams with a winning record.
I heard that the other day, too.
Mm-hmm.
Teams that are above 500, the Brewers have a better record against that group of teams than anybody else.
Yep. So you can't say they're stacking up wins against inferior teams. They're doing it against the best teams
Yeah, they certainly are.
in the league. All right, we got to take a break. We'll wrap up the second hour. We'll do a little receive or defer. So we'll be right back after these quick words. At Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire, brats aren't just a one-size-fit-all. They've got so many different flavor combinations over there, and there's something different waiting every time you stop in. Some are bold, some are a little smoky, some maybe you never even expect, but all of them are made fresh right in store. It's the perfect excuse to try something new or maybe even find your next favorite. Swing by Mike's Star Market today and see what they've got cooking for you this week.
Just bought some the other day. Oh, they're delicious.
Nice. What flavor did you go with?
I hadn't tried the Bloody Mary before. So I did that. And then I like the bacon and cheddar, I believe, in a brat. And there was one other variety I brought. I went in there to buy one. And I look at the whole little cooler full of them.
Yep.
Boy, they look good.
Yep.
Boy, they look good. I ended up buying 3 or 4 packages, and I only need a couple, but they're always good.
We went to the drafts. We bought some their hangover ones because it had like hash browns, cheese, and all that. I'm like, that's a perfect breakfast meal.
Yeah, I saw that one, but I didn't buy that one. Maybe next time.
That was a good one too, especially for breakfast.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's finish up the second hour with some receive or defer. Give you the honors, intern.
All right. Well, we talked earlier about Sterling Sharp, so let's do a little Hall of Fame talk. Receive or defer? Would you rather get into the Hall of Fame or win a championship, a Super Bowl, a World Series, or an NBA championship if you're a player of that magnitude?
I've thought about that before, and that is such a tough one for me.
It is. Me too.
I'm going to be honest with you. If I had to pick between the two, and I think I'm going to be in the minority on this one, Hall of Fame.
I think I would too.
I mean, part of it is kind of morbid, but part of it is legacy and just knowing like my plaque or bust or something like would be there for years and years and years and years. I think, during the play, if you're still playing in that, you'd want that championship because you want to be able to, but oh gosh.
It's a hard one.
It's a very hard one. It's a very hard one.
You walk around, you got a Hall of Fame ring. You got a Super Bowl or World Series ring. It is hard. But
yeah.
For those that have achieved both, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Or have achieved like multiple championships and that. Like that would be, and I'm sure they've probably answered this, but I don't know like what Dan Marino or Barry Sanders, those type of guys would say. If they were like, they probably wouldn't answer it truthfully, to be honest with you, in the media, I don't think. But if you can only pick one.
Sitting at a bar over a beer some night, just not with any media around or social media, because Marino in his rookie year got to the Super Bowl, never got back.
Yeah.
I mean, that had to tear at him.
Yep. And, you look at this past weekend, we had the baseball one. I mean, I can't remember another dude, not saying nobody was excited, but CC Sabathia was so excited. Like that was his ultimate goal since he was a kid to get and he's just rightfully so living it up too. And it's like I think it does mean more probably to get in that Hall of Fame.
Oh, I agree with you, but it'd be a tough decision to have to make, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You'd love to be in that position, but anyway, speaking of that, CC Sabathia Hall of Fame, receiver defer. It's time for Pete Rose to be put fully into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I'll receive it.
I will too, and it's another one of those good sit over a beer or two and discuss it. But my argument would be, and again, other people have other arguments, and I respect them all. As a player, he's going in as a player. What did he do that didn't deserve for him while he was a player to be in the Hall of Fame? Now, Barry Bonds, they say, well, he'd have been in the Hall of Fame just with his Pirate career, but he was still a player with the Giants. So you got to take his whole playing career. Now, others will argue with Pete Rose, you have to take his whole baseball career. But again, how much Joe Torre got in, he was a National League batting leader. He didn't get in as a player. He got in as a manager. So what Pete Rose did as a manager when he was doing his betting, that should be, in my mind, separate from his playing career. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And again, it's a good argument, discussion to have, but that's where I'm coming from.
No, I think I agree with you. So, what else you
Receiver
got?
defer. Priester could be the deal of the year in baseball.
It's looking pretty good, isn't it?
It really is.
I still say the job he's done kind of flies under the radar a bit because of, you look at the wowness of Mizorowski. Freddie Peralta's had a great year. The return of Brandon Woodruff, and
which has been successful.
Yep. And then you got Quinn Priester, who is now 10-2 on the season, for crying out loud. And when he was acquired, it was kind of by force, really, because they were running out of starters and they needed arms. And some thought, oh, they gave up too much for this guy. And then you kind of heard, well, we're going to try to get him in our system because we think, if he does this, it would work out better. And that it's like, oh boy, we're kind of setting the bar a little low. He's been awesome. It really has.
Oh, there's no question about it.
I would say either that or Andrew Vaughn right now might be the.
If he can keep it up.
Yeah.
Well, Priester's got to keep it up too.
Right.
But yeah, Vaughn is another one. But that was just picking a guy up from the trash heap. Priester was a guy they had to kind of feel out and get.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
they made some good moves. And this is probably a no-brainer, but any grade less than an A+ for the Brewers' performance so far this year would be unfair.
Yeah, I mean, we can nitpick certain things like, they don't have a power, but what's right now at this point? It's best record in all Major League Baseball.
Remember when we started earlier in the season and you had the question of how would you grade the Brewers so far? And I was a B+. I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
But there were B- and a C, and they were in the discussion. They were in it. But wow.
Yeah.
They've improved. They've had gotten a lot better.
Yep. I'm going to feed off that one to ask one here. Receiver defer Pat Murphy is a top 5 manager in all of Major League Baseball right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Top 3.
Best record in baseball. Where is you look at the salaries.
Yep.
I don't know where the Brewers rank in salary as far as all teams in the major leagues, but you look at teams like Los Angeles, all the California teams, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Padres. You look at all not Oakland. That's a different world. They're like in the minor leagues, and that's what they're playing in the minor league stadium until they get to Vegas. But you look at how much money those teams will just throw. Philadelphia, I mean, the Mets, the Yankees, the money that they spend on salary versus where the Brewers are. If you don't give Pat Murphy credit for managing this team to where they are, you don't know much.
Yeah, the team with the best record in Major League Baseball has the 24th highest payroll out of 30 in Major League Baseball. Yeah. The only teams that have a lower payroll: Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Tampa, White Sox, Athletics, Miami.
Yeah. And one of them that you might think is the White Sox. Chicago's a major market.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pope even roots for them.
I mean, for crying out loud, the Rockies have a bigger total payroll than the Brewers. Now, Brewers have a little bit more in terms of active, the top 26, but overall payroll, Rockies have a higher one than the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
So Washington does, Cincinnati does. But you're right. I mean, Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Phillies, Toronto, your top 5 in total payroll right now.
Toronto, I'm a little surprised. I wonder how they do that with Canadian money, because their money is only worth about half of what ours is. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't recognize Murphy as one of the top 2 or 3 managers in baseball.
Yeah.
And right now, I'd say he's number 1.
Mm-hmm. He's easily up there. I mean, results speak for themselves, for crying out loud. And he better, I know they finished off this regular season the way it is right now. There shouldn't be even a debate. He should be back-to-back manager of the year. I think it should be.
Then who do you think's going to hire him away from the Brewers, and for how much money? Council's paycheck might be chicken feed compared to what Murphy might get.
Maybe the Cubs would be like, hey, you want to trade Council for Murphy?
There you go.
And we'll say, No.
Emphatically.
Yep. All right, 2 in. We got 1 more to go. News updates, and we'll be back after these quick words. All right, final hour on this Thursday morning, final day of July 31st. A big thanks for tuning in, however you're tuning in, if it's on the radio dials. There's a couple of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also, check us out online, sportstalk1051.com. You can also check out the video streams, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and tell your Alexa devices to say, hey, yo, Alexa, play WAYY.
You guys have carts for the Casper Open tomorrow?
Do have carts, yep.
Yeah, the way the smoke, if the smoke hangs around, it might be easier than walking.
Yep, definitely got the carts rolling for tomorrow. So speaking of tomorrow, the Express will return home tomorrow to take on Rochester. They're at Rochester tonight. The Express with a come from behind victory yesterday against Waterloo, 6-5.
Doing well the second half.
They're doing well. They're in second right now in the division, still chasing Duluth, but it got a little bit closer right now because Duluth is on a 2-game losing streak. Express just 3.5 back from that second half championship. And here's your upcoming schedule here. Rochester tonight on the road. Rochester at home at Carson Park on Friday. And then the big one, Duluth, who they're chasing. What's the quickest way to make up ground? Beating the team in front of you. So they got Duluth at Carson Park on Saturday, Duluth on the road on Sunday. And then they've got 4 more games against Waterloo and 2 more against Rochester. That's it. I mean, that's it for the regular season. So take care of your business. Do need a little bit of help, but they're getting it right now.
And I'd like to talk to Dale Varsho about how challenging is it now when you get towards the end of the season, because you've got college pitchers and their college coaches are saying, this is how many innings he's going to pitch for you this summer. Because I've got a kid I grew up with, his grandson pitching for the Loggers down in La Crosse. And he's one of the top pitchers. And as of a week or two ago, he'd had his innings in and his college coach wanted him to come home. So that's got to be tough for these managers in the Northern League right now to keep these pitchers available.
Yeah, I know. Was it? I was talking to Pete Knutson. Was it last week? And he kind of mentioned too. Dale's always done a good job. He keeping kind of I don't want to say a stash, but kind of another group ready to go for it. Because you're right. I mean, it's not only that, but then they got to go back to school coming up here too. So it's definitely a unique and tough situation.
Yeah, because these managers like Dale here for the Express, they have to keep good relationships with these college coaches. So they have that network of players coming in year after year, and these college coaches can expect they're going to get the kind of treatment that they need to have or they want them to have with this summer experience.
Yep, definitely. So if you're kind of wondering about if you're doing a little scoreboard watching, Duluth is on this 2-game losing streak thanks to very close games against Thunder Bay, 7-8 and 12-13. They got 2 more games against Thunder Bay tonight and Friday before coming over to face the Express, and then they finish up with 4 games against Thunder Bay here too. So go Thunder Bay. That's if you're an Express fan, you got to cheer for Thunder Bay.
Score 12 runs and lose. That's hard.
Yeah. So back-to-back games losing by just 1 run. So
you score 19 runs in 2 games and don't win either one of them.
So come on, we're getting there. It's close. But Waterloo, who the Express play quite a bit down the stretch here too, they're in third, so they're still trying to get back into this thing here too. Reminder: La Crosse won the first half championship, so they've already clinched a spot into the postseason. So. But
then again, like I said, is there one of their best pitchers is Cade Richardson? Is he going to be available, or has he already gone back to Texas?
Yeah, well, and you look at the La Crosse, they're just 12-16 in the second half, so completely different team. But you got where we at here? 5 more games at Carson Park, 5 more games on the road, just 10 more regular season games to go for the Express season. It has gone by fast. So
it really does. Every summer goes by so much faster than winter. Wow.
Yep. Packers didn't have practice yesterday for training camp, an off day for them yesterday, but kind of a cool little write-up from Rob Demotsky, our good friend Rob, who covers the Packers for ESPN And as he noted, anyone who's been to a practice so far would have noticed there has been a lot of punches thrown, not in fights, but rather at the football. And here's the backstory. It's centered around one of their defensive quality control coaches, Wendell Davis. But as Jeff Halfley said yesterday, because yesterday was coordinator's day to talk to the media, can't call him Wendell Davis anymore. He's the Ball King. So if you see him, please refer to him as BK or Ball King. Because while the Packers ranked fourth in the NFL in takeaways last year in Halfley's first season, he didn't think they forced enough fumbles. So he decided to put Davis, who has been on the Packers coaching staff since 2019, in charge of emphasizing punching the ball out in daily meetings. Davis makes a presentation that includes film of players punching the ball out or missing opportunities to do so. He has made it a competition with different groups of defensive players teaming up to compete against other groups. Halfley said, quote, he's got a unique siren now built into the ceiling that every time we get a turnover, he hits a button and the siren plays. So we want to sound the siren as much as we can.
And there are a couple teams, I think the Bears.
Charles Tillman was fantastic at that back in the day. Yeah.
And they really did. I think some of the Vikings team, but the Packers never have been a team that punched the ball out. But some of these teams, they've got really good at it. And like you said, players like Tillman, really efficient.
Mm-hmm. Woodson was good at it, I think, back in the day for a little bit too. But yeah, Peanut Tillman, that's kind of what he was. It was the Tillman punch. And I like that. They're finding different ways. Yes, they were fourth in the league in takeaways last year. But
how does interceptions versus fumbles what was the rank?
So, I mean, Packers were towards the top in interceptions because 31, but they just had 14 forced fumbles. So, I mean,
there you go.
17 interceptions then.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm glad that they're kind of putting this as an emphasis on it too. Okay, we were good at this. Yes, overall we were top 5, but we could still be better. We can still be better at that and be aggressive in that department too. So, be curious to see if that translates.
Practice that.
Yeah, it'll be curious to see if that translates to the field in the regular season. So, but sounds like
I think that would make the players more aggressive on the defense. Go after the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tackle the guy, obviously, but one guy's tackling. Don't come in there and bump him. Go after the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's what other teams practice, and it pays off.
That kind of little shoulder bump that we see sometimes is to like trying to knock him down
or come around the backside and punch that ball.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like though practice has been a little chippy the last few days and such. Matt LaFleur the other day chewing out his team at the end of practice, and sounds like it was just because they were a little too physical and such. But sounds like a lot of it is because talking to the coordinators yesterday, a lot of it came from how the playoffs and going up against Philadelphia and losing to a much more physical team. They want to be that physical team this year, which I'm all about too. But at the same time, it is practice. Don't want to take out into your guys. But they got to bring that physical. Look at the division alone, right? Not just that Philly game. This is a team I think you look at, yeah, they probably could be a little bit more physical.
Detroit has mirrored their coach, and they've been physical, and it's paid off for them the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Bears have always been physical.
Mm-hmm. Vikings with Brian Flores as defensive coordinator, they're aggressive and such. So, yeah, I don't think there's any debate. They have to be more physical. I mean, it's got to look at this division. You got to be. Look at, yes, the Eagles, incredibly physical on the defensive side, but also in the running game with Saquon Barkley.
And you want to be physical, not dirty. Take late shots and
not the Saints.
Stupid things and get 15-yard penalties for unnecessary roughness. Got to be smart about it too.
Yep. So there was even, that practice LaFleur made Rasheed Walker run a lap because it looked like he pulled down Enoch Barre well after a play. LaFleur yanked Walker and the rest of the starters and told Walker to run. But
sounds like high school.
well, it's funny you say that because Walker said afterwards, I haven't run a lap since probably like freshman year of high school. But the cool part was he wasn't the only one. The rest of the offensive line and Tucker Kraft and Josh Jacobs joined him in that lap. So he wasn't doing it by himself, which
Bill's teamwork.
Yep. Zach Tom said, that's never happened before. I haven't seen something like that since high school. We didn't want him to go around alone. So we're just like, let's join him. Obviously, we have his back. So.
And maybe he learned something too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But it sounds like Matthew Golden's having a fantastic practice. The rookie wide receiver, he's been making a lot of plays and turning a lot of heads too. So, and for a lot of people, they'll get to see hopefully some of that in action on TV, or if you're going to family night this weekend. So,
are you going?
Not going. We got baseball tournament this weekend.
Goodness!
Don't worry, I'm going to the preseason game next weekend. So,
attaboy.
I'm gonna scout the Jets.
That's important to scout the Jets.
Yep. So don't worry your britches. I'm going to the preseason game next
weekend.
I'm
a little worried if your priorities were changing.
No. We're good. So we got a busy August coming up here. So
what are you going to watch for in the preseason? Because you don't even know who's going to be playing. You won't know half the guys that are playing. Is there a certain position more than players that you're going to be watching, linebackers or whatever?
I think you look at the offensive line depth, outside of your starters. You look at, we saw it in Philly. Their depth was really questionable.
Questionable is a I think a pretty easy term to describe that.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
You look at that, and I think you look at the depth at corner outside of your Hobbs and Nixon. You're one injury away from a Kalen King, who was a 7th-round pick last year, or somebody else coming in there. You look at those guys. Back end wide receiver, possibly. Maybe there's only one spot open, two available there. You want to see rookies, but like the Matthew Goldens, but he's probably not going to be out there with Jordan Love. So how much
that was going to be a question I was going to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Have they said anything about because practice is one thing. It's practice. But have they said anything about, as LaFleur said, that Love would play under games, even preseason games, game situations with Golden and the other wide receiver they drafted, who's
Savion,
name escapes me, but in a game situation, because the practice is easy to throw it up there and just run under it, but in a game situation, it's different.
Yeah, I personally haven't heard it, but it's interesting because I've heard other teams and players even say they want to play more in preseason. I think the Bengals even mentioned Joe Burrow going to be playing more in preseason. Who was the other quarterback that just said that maybe it was Justin Herbert or somebody, Jalen Hurts, but another quarterback said that they would like to play more in preseason. So I'd be curious to see.
I think Love would too, because these are new receivers. Game speed, even preseason game speed, is a whole lot different than practicing in the shell or outside. Even not speed.
Well, even like just getting work with the wide receiver when the play calls in and lining up and that to emulate that game type of environment. Yeah, you can do that in camp, but it's different in a stadium and actually getting a call in and those stuff that we probably don't think too much of, but it's the little fundamental stuff with that.
Because game one, you're under fire right now. You don't have a quarter to get used to each other.
Yeah. And there's only 17 games, and this division is going to be tough, and you got a divisional game right away.
That's what I mean. They're under fire right away.
So, yeah, that's kind of what, I look at corners and offensive line and such, because even like defensively, you're not going to get scheme play calls or anything like that. So you don't really look for something of that magnitude. So, but
let me ask this question. Is the Packer kicking game set from a place kicker to the punter? Are they set with the guys they're going to go to war with, so to speak?
100%. One of the bigger stories out of camp so far is McManus has not missed a field goal.
Good.
He's been perfect. And I love his response because, Rich Bisaccia was asked about it yesterday, and he brought it up to McManus, that he's hit every kick. McManus had the perfect response. It's because you guys pay me to make kicks.
I was going to say, if you asked me what he said, I said, because that's what I'm getting paid for.
Mm-hmm. And I loved it.
Yeah.
That was the perfect, exactly correct response. Well, you guys pay me to make these kicks. So
What about the punter?
Daniel Whalen, yeah, he's primed. He's ready to go. So
Good.
we're gonna. I think it's probably like coverage units and such. So we'll see
Yeah,
how that
that's
works out.
always the wild card with the Packers is their special teams play.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, uh, yeah, this was the quote. Bisaccia said McManus, who was a perfect 23 for 23
Ooh, now
on
that's a lot.
on field goals and extra points in practice, has a fairly simple mental approach to kicking. You guys are paying me to come in here and make field goals, not miss them. So I love it. I love it. All right, we'll take a quick break. Back to more baseball talk, with it being the trade deadline day today. If you're just joining us and you haven't chimed in yet, who's on your wish list, Brewers fans? You got a name, got a position? Let us know. Hit us up with a quick text. Mark your calendars for the VFW Post 305 end of summer celebration. It's happening Sunday, August 17th out in the Pavilion Tiki Bar area from 11 to 5 p.m. They'll have beer, drinks, and food for purchase, as well as games, raffles, and fun for all. And our good friend Donna is going to be in the dunk tank. And Andrew, their kitchen manager, will as well. Not same time, though.
What about you?
No.
You ever been in a dunk tank?
I think I might have.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah. $5 for 3 chances to dunk them. Come on out and take your aggressions out on them. And it also features music from 1 to 4 by the Eddie Beavers. So again, Sunday, August 17th, 11 to 5 p.m.
You get in the dunk tank, I'd spend some money.
I'm sure a lot of people probably would. So it'd be one of those, even if they didn't hit it, they'd probably come up and push it anyways. So I forgot a receiver defer that relates to baseball here. Receiver defer. Did the Brewers win the Devin Williams trade? They got Caleb Durbin and Nestor Cortez, who we saw once. But so essentially it's Caleb Durbin and Devin Williams. Devin Williams so far this year, by the way, 3-3, 5.01 ERA.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a disappointment to the Yankees. At this point in time, I'm going to go about 55-45 for the Brewers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's accurate.
I think Durbin has been a surprise. Cortez still out. Williams, I don't think, is Williams still their closer? Or I've seen him in games in the 7th inning, and so I don't know if he's exclusively their closer.
Yeah, no.
So I think it's a trade that helped both teams. At this point in time, I think Durbin has helped the Brewers, and Cortez is still a question to answer. But I think, and Williams has given the Yankees some help, but I don't think he's where they thought he was going to be.
Yeah, no. So, speaking of, we're at the bottom of the hour, still pretty quiet. I mean, you get a little, I'm just kind of scrolling through. Yankees are looking for bullpen pitching. Who isn't looking for bullpen pitching right now at this point? So,
and I think Major League Baseball, we talked earlier, has brought themselves to that situation with the metrics and the starting pitching. You got to have relievers. I think it's interesting the discussion they're having about limiting the number of pitchers you can have on your major league roster. I don't know if they'll ever get to that, but they're talking about it, which even surprised me they're talking about it, because when they brought in these metrics, they knew, or at least I assume they knew, it was going to affect starting pitching.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised that they're even talking about that. I don't know how much discussion they'll ever have at the winter meetings or the general manager meetings or anything like that, but it has been discussed.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's been, online, some people saying, why do the Brewers need bullpen when they've got, other guys out there? I think when we say bullpen for the Brewers, it's probably back end bullpen, like late inning type of guys.
I think so too, yeah.
Yes, they've got options that they can throw in there, like 5th, 6th inning sort of thing, like a Tobias if you were to be back up and such. I think they're looking hard for guys that they could put in 7th, 8th, inning type of situations, not necessarily long relief bullpen guys. And that's what those other guys are mostly for, the long relief. You're looking for the setup type of guys, closer type of players in that back end.
And I wonder, because relievers are in such demand and there's a limited supply, are we going to, and sports are trends, obviously, are we going to see the trend back to more value on starting pitchers that can go 7, 8, even complete a game, as this trend of, are there enough decent relief pitchers available, or are these starters going to demand more innings and get back to where starting pitchers make some big contracts?
Just kind of projecting a little bit, but say Major League Baseball somehow gets it to where they, limit the amount of pitchers and forces pitchers to throw more innings. You kind of wonder then, do guys like who we were just talking about earlier, Freddie Peralta, who racks up pitch counts, Does he end up becoming more of a bullpen relief pitcher? Because, if he can only give you 5 innings, that's a tough pill to swallow at times.
Yeah, maybe he's going to have to be a guy that can come in the fourth and finish the game.
Mhm.
That I think again, we're going to see changes in the way pitchers are handled in the major leagues, just because how many good arms, are out there.
Mhm. Yeah. I feel like maybe I'm getting my excitement up here a little too much here, but I feel like we're gonna have a crazy day today in terms of trades. I think we're gonna see a lot of last night, it kinda started like, here we go, left, right, Suarez traded, then all these other guys are getting traded and such. 5 PM deadline today. I think you're gonna see a flurry of moves in the next few hours.
But will they be big moves?
That's the
Just
thing, yeah.
just level. We're trading this guy to get this guy. We're not getting that much back, but he's a reserve infielder, and this is a relief pitcher. That are we trading equal talent, or are some teams going to go all out and I want Arenado, and I'm going to give you such and such, and Arenado is the big name in there, and they're going to
Mhm.
get 4 or 5 players back. I know the Cardinals were active. They've got some guys back for the players they did trade. So is St. Louis going to continue to be active today? I think teams like that are going to be interesting to watch.
Mhm. Yeah, it's who's gonna win the game of chicken for a lot of this too. Who's gonna be the desperate? Who's gonna be like, and that's where I was curious with Suarez, and it doesn't matter anymore now because he got traded, but it's like, you're the Diamondbacks, he's gonna be a free agent, you're obviously selling. At what point do you just kind of, I don't wanna say cave, but, when you're in that game of chicken, do you lower the price just so you get something back in return for somebody? Or do you try to how long can you hold out till you get what you're looking for? And that's what this a lot of back and forth going today. Might have to have a few cell phones charged up for a lot of these general managers and such so they don't miss out on anything, but
Yeah, and we'll find how good a bargainer the general managers of your choice are, whatever
mhm.
team you're rooting for or watching. But I think there might be a lot of trades, but I don't think there's going to be anything really startling.
No, and, kinda did an informal poll yesterday and asked, a lot of Brewers fans, "Do you wanna see the team make a move?" Like, not do you think they will, but do you want them to make a move? Honestly, it was about 50-50. A lot of them still wanted them to make a move to add a bat. Others were like, "Hey, don't mess with a good thing right now," sort of thing. So, by that measure, probably gonna be 50% of fans are gonna be upset tomorrow, and 50% might be okay with what they did. It's gonna be right down the middle.
And I think that's going to depend on not if they make a move, but what move might they make. I mean, you're getting back somebody that you hope can help this team, but what do you give up for that hope?
Mhm.
If you give up more than I think a lot of fans are ready to give up, because when you got a team with the best record in baseball, what do you want to give up?
Yeah. Right.
If there were Cincinnati, if they're in the standings now where say Cincinnati is, or even St. Louis, you look at the deadline different, at least I do, than from where the Brewers are now.
Mhm.
Are they a flash in the pan? I don't think so, because they won the division last year by what, 9, 10 games, whatever it was. And they've got some new additions to this team that are helping this team. Frelick is playing well. Terang, if he gets better from here on out, that's going to be that much more of a bonus. Churio, if he can come back healthy after hopefully a very short stint. Yelich is playing well. I mean, some of the additions that they have made to this team, I think are good.
Mhm.
You think, everybody's, me included, worried about Ortiz and his offense. He doesn't have to get the whole that much better to help this team, because the other 8 guys are providing some good offense.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. I
So I
agree.
hope they don't jump off a bridge, so to speak, just to make a move and damage what they've got going.
Mhm. Well, we'll find out,
Yeah.
in what, 8 half hours, whatever. Yeah, 9 hours.
5 o'clock our time.
5 o'clock our
Okay.
time. So, hey, really quick before we got to take our final break. So we were talking about Sterling Sharp a little bit earlier, and you had made a comment about if he would have been healthy, played a whole career, the Jerry Rice comparison. Somebody agrees with you, and he's also a Hall of Famer, Leroy Butler. This is an article from Matt Schneidman from The Athletic, who talked to Leroy and Mike Holmgren about Sterling Sharp. Just a couple quotes in this piece that just dropped. This was from Mike Holmgren. If he hadn't got hurt, he would have been a first ballot Hall of Fame selection. That's the only explanation I could give. I had the privilege of coaching Jerry Rice and being around great receivers, and Sterling's right up there with those guys. He was special. Butler says, quote, I tell people all the time, if he didn't get hurt, he'd be the GOAT. The Jerry Rice discussion wouldn't even be there. Sterling would be the GOAT. So
that's quite a statement to make. And I think they'd be head and head. I think, two of the greatest of all times happened to play at the same time. But unfortunately, Sterling Sharp couldn't finish his career. He smart enough to make a decision that, my lifestyle after football is more important than personal accolades. So I give him credit for that. But I agree with both those guys. I think Sterling Sharp would be right there in the GOAT talk, and Jerry Rice would have to move over just a little bit.
And remember, Sterling wasn't the biggest dude.
No.
6 foot.
Not anywhere like his brother.
Yeah. This was a good little story here from Leroy. He when he said when he'd work out by the window. So when you'd go past the window, you would see him. Everybody else has Packer issued shirts and shorts. He had this whole Lee Haney outfit. I'm curling like 20-pound weights. He's curling 100-pound weights. One time he asked him why he does that, and Sharp said, because Jerry Rice, Chris Carter, they don't look like this. It's to let you all know I'm the man. Like, all right, yep.
So he knew the company he was in. How Jerry Rice, Sterling Sharp, and Carter. How far below that was Carter than those two? I think he was a great player, but I think he was just a step below those.
Oh yeah, I'd take Rice and Sharp over Carter.
Yeah.
Yep. Carter caught a lot of touchdowns.
Oh,
and he was a great receiver, but no, talent-wise, I'd take Rice and Sharp over Carter.
Thinking back of Carter and Brett Favre, I think of the coaches they had. Remember down in Atlanta, Jerry Glanville said, what did he call? He used to call Favre
Big Country or something like that.
Hillbilly or something like that. Didn't think he was going to be that good. Same thing happened with Carter in Philadelphia. He's not tough enough to go over the middle to make those catches. They darn near gave him to the Vikings. And look where both ended up. So,
or Mississippi, he called them. That's what it was.
Or Mississippi or something like that. And, those are two guys that made some coaches eat their words.
Oh, yeah. Yep. But you think about the 90s and the eras of those receivers, too. I mean, Sharp, Rice, Michael Irvin, Chris Carter, Tim Brown, Art Monk's a Hall of Famer, too. I mean, the list goes on and on. That was a heck of a decade plus.
And that's why I think Art Monk, people question Art Monk being in the Hall of Fame. When you're up against those other guys by that natural comparison, and Art Monk's a Hall of Famer. But yeah, you're right. What an era.
Andre Reed, another Hall of Famer. I mean, and you had such a logjam of those guys too. That's why Carter didn't get in first ballot. Some of Tim Brown didn't get in first ballot. So it was a fun era. It was and a lot of non Hall of Famers, but good receivers in there too. I mean, you could throw in Irving Fryer, Andre Bad Moon Rising.
And you look at that era, how the rules have changed after that. I mean, those guys were mugged going down the sidelines, and now 5 yards out, you touch them, you got a flag. These guys were running through contact 15, 20, 40 yards down the field. So those guys had to be strong, good, deep concentration. They were that much more special because they didn't have the rules, the offensive favoritism in the rules that they have now versus back then.
Yep, I agree. So, I don't know if they, I don't know if they've announced when, what game Sharp's gonna have his name on the, Lambeau Field facade, but that'll be cool to see that up there. Uh,
Oh, will be.
we do have a trade, doesn't involve the Brewers, though. The Blue Jays, getting aggressive here. They are finalizing a trade to acquire right-handed pitcher Shane Bieber from the Cleveland Guardians. So looking to get the former AL Cy Young. I know he's been going through some rehab stuff, but they're going to be aggressive and they're going to go after or apparently get Shane here from Cleveland. So
Betting on the come, so to speak, that he can get back close to his old form.
so maybe there's the first one for this morning, the first big one from this morning, and then the waterfall.
At least that's a name I recognize. So many of those that I saw on the screen last night. Ooh, they got to get bigger than this, or there's no fanfare to it.
So that's one right now. We'll probably going to see a whole lot more coming up here throughout the rest of the day. All right, let's take our final break here. We'll start to wrap up things. Final call for any thoughts. Text us. Let us know. 715-830-1912. Stick around. We'll be back after these quick words. At AJM Automotive in Eau Claire, they're not just about getting the job done, they're about doing it right. Whether it's vehicle repairs, small engine work, or towing services, their team is there to provide top-notch customer service every single time. With years of experience and a commitment to keeping you on the road, AJM Automotive is your go-to place for reliable service when you need it most. No job too big, too small. Visit AJM Automotive in Eau Claire today. A couple of texts to catch up on. Texter says, bullpen, we've got guys like Tobias and Patrick in the minors. I prefer they stand pat. Again, I think we kind of touched on it a little bit. Probably looking for the late inning bullpen arms for there.
And I think that first text you got kind of, for me, is the same thing. They're doing really well, but we've got a lot of young players that we don't know how good they're going to be. Tobias Myers, you get rid of him? Because last year when he came up, we talked about it before, he was, pre-Miz and then fell in hard times, but I'm not ready to give up on him.
No, I mean, best pitcher from June on last year.
Yeah. And so I think that's another thing the Brewers have to be aware of. They got some of these young players that you really don't, especially pitchers, you really don't know how they're going to pan out yet. And, you got to give them some time against major league hitters to figure out if they look like they're keepers.
Yeah. Another texter, John, says regarding Sterling Sharp, on one hand, John in Lake Cali, on one hand, he played on some bad teams, which hurt his chance at the Hall of Fame. But on the other hand, he was the only player we had back then, and no one could stop him. Terrell Davis made it to the Hall of Fame with a shortened career, mainly because he won a Super Bowl. That's my 2 cents worth. Sterling definitely belongs in the Hall. I think probably another, maybe a more comparable comparison would be like Tony Baselli. Tony Baselli's in the Hall of Fame, was a fantastic left tackle, played on some bad Jaguars teams because they were just, starting out. But again, injuries shortened his career. Took a little bit, but he's also in the Hall of Fame too. So
you recognize talent. The Cleveland Browns left tackle from Wisconsin, Joe Thomas, played on some of the worst teams in the NFL. And for all the years he played, how many consecutive plays? He gave up how many sacks? So talent does shine through, even though your team might not be very good.
Yep. So, but I think you're definitely seeing that trend of players, shorter careers, they're starting to recognize, like, okay, yeah, these dudes were some of the best when they were playing in that time frame, and not penalizing players, especially for leaving because of injuries.
Yeah, and it's an individual honor. It's not a team honor. So that's why Sterling Sharp more than deserving of being in the Hall of Fame.
And I think, that it is a credit to him more too for putting up those numbers with not stable quarterback play until Favre. Even Favre, that was the beginning of Favre. Favre wasn't really, all Favre at that point either. So, I mean, that's a credit to Sharp, just how flipping awesome he was, because you darn well know any team going up against the Packers are like, okay, 84. 84 is the only guy we got to worry about.
And if he had stayed there, how much better do you think Favre's numbers might have been?
Wow.
Fewer interceptions, more yards, more completions, more touchdowns. I think he'd have seen better numbers too. As great as his numbers were, I think they'd have been even better if Sterling Sharp. And I think the Packers would have been, in the top of the league quicker and longer with Sterling Sharp.
Yeah. A lot of what ifs surrounding
exactly.
Sterling
That's
Sharp.
what sports are all about.
Yep. Not a lot of baseball games today. Just a handful of them, probably because they're worried about the Hall of Fame game from the NFL tonight. Don't want to compete with that.
No, heavens no.
Lions and Chargers, baby. So, but the 4 games that are in action today, or 3 games, excuse me, Tampa Bay, New York Yankees. Who are you going to pick?
Tampa Bay. They should have won the game last night, but the Yankees pulled it out in 11 innings. I'm going Tampa Bay.
I'll go Yankees today. Let's go Braves and Reds.
Braves are a major disappointment to me this year. I'm going the Reds.
I'm going Reds too. I mean, then you got the injury news again with Ronald Acuna Jr. He's going to be out for a little bit. Achilles tightness. Now, I think every time we hear Achilles, it's like sit the guy down. Don't even push it. So, Rangers, Mariners, two teams battling it for that final wild card spot right now.
Where are they playing?
Seattle.
I'll take the Mariners.
I'm gonna go Mariners too. There's got to be a little enthusiasm running through that clubhouse with the Mariners. So I don't know if Suarez is playing today, but I'm gonna go Mariners. That's it for games.
Raleigh has to be excited having little protection now because, he stuck out like a sore thumb in that lineup. And now you got Suarez batting, I don't know, behind him, in front of him. I mean, that's you might see some pitches that you haven't seen before, and he might hit 70 home runs. You never know if he gets better pitches.
That's definitely got to be right now at this current point, probably the best 1-2 punch in power in the lineup.
I would think so. I don't know who's better.
Going up there. I mean, it's not the, Soto of Judge from last year, but right now it's got to be up there. I know Dodgers, you could probably come up with some sort of combination with
I don't know
Ohtani
who
and Freeman.
Ohtani, but Freeman isn't all that good this year. Mookie Betts isn't playing offensive wise that great. I think far and away Raleigh Suarez is the top home run hitting duo in baseball.
Yeah, probably. So, yeah, I mean, right now you look at home run leaders. Raleigh's got 41. He's number 1, and then Suarez is number 5 in the league at 36. So you've got 77 home runs between the two. Now batting back to back.
Yeah, I think that's far and away the leaders.
Have fun AL West with that one.
Exactly.
That's where it's maybe like the Astros in this case is like, okay, do we got to beef up our offense or pitching if we have to go up against those guys for the division? Who knows? But yeah.
I don't think there's a division. Well, Detroit, as bad as they've been playing recently, they're still 7 or 8 games ahead. Other than that division, I think the rest of them are pretty close.
Well, the standings right now, yeah, Toronto's up 4 games over the Yankees. Detroit is up 9 over Cleveland, and Cleveland's selling. I mean, seems like that's the case here. Houston is up 5 over Seattle and Texas. The Mets are only up a half a game over Philly. That seems to be a 2-team race in that division. Dodgers are just up 3 on the Padres, and Brewers we know are up 1 over the Cubs. So
every division is outside of Detroit, Cleveland, but Detroit keeps playing like that. Cleveland gets hot. That could be narrowed in a bigger hurry.
It's kind of weird to look at it that I suppose, I mean, some of them, Houston, Seattle, but yeah, that AL East, Toronto, sitting there 4 games above the Yankees right now. Talk about another surprise team at this point in time. Easily probably Brewers and Blue Jays.
Or more disappointing, the Yankees. And I think that everybody thought the Cubs were going to be in charge of this division easily. And
I mean,
the end of the season is still a long way away, and they might.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, to me, the most disappointing team in baseball is the Yankees.
And I don't know how much of it is like injuries because Garrett Groshette went down. Aaron Judge is out right now. Does injuries factor into it a little bit with the Yankees?
Oh, it always does. But, I mean, earlier in the season, they were well ahead in that division.
Because of those torpedo bats.
Yeah, now they're 4 games behind. So how this is going to play out, I don't know, but it'll be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at the overall standings, Brewers still number 1, but the Cubs are just 1 game back from the best record. Toronto's just 1 game back from the best record. Detroit's just 1 game back from the best record. Dodgers are 1.5 back. So, yeah, if that's what we're focusing on. I was looked at the potential bracket yesterday. If the playoffs started, Brewers would be the 1 seed, and they would have to play the winner between, I think it was Cubs and Phillies. Yeah, it was Cubs and Phillies. That'd be something.
No. I mean,
they swept the Phillies already this year, so they got to play them again. But
people say, "Well, it's a long way off." But here we are, the 1st of August. It's kind of fun to be able to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Because I never expected we would.
Mm-hmm.
Especially after the first 2 games against the Yankees.
I never would have thought we'd be sitting here with August 1st tomorrow and Brewers are going to be in first place.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Best record
fun to be
overall.
able to have this conversation. Hopefully they can hold it together, but we'll wait and see. I think they've got enough arms and just enough of scrappiness of their of position players. They're not going to get out without a big fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Murphy leading this team too. That says something. I think these guys have so much confidence and love of their manager because I think you respect even Ortiz, who he's, I don't know, for lack of a better term, called on the carpet.
Yeah.
Ortiz, I think, respects that, knows he's deficient offensively. And I think Murphy's managing it all well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got something going here. That's where, I know some people said, well, are they peaking too early and such? And I don't know. Maybe they'll go in a little bit of a slump here, but I feel like they've got the right mindset and attitude.
Every game you win in April, May, June, and July means games you don't necessarily need to win September and October. They don't become that critical. Hopefully you still can get hot, but what they've done so far has been, to me, magnificent
Mm-hmm.
with this roster. There's no, but Yelich is the only name you recognize. Brandon Woodruff, he's been out. Peralta has been a starting pitcher.
Jackson's gotten some name.
Yeah,
Right?
Churios
Mm-hmm.
has come up as a good young player, but you're not talking multi-million-dollar contracts for any of these guys.
Well, and think about this: the All-Star game. How many position players for the Brewers were in that?
Yeah,
0.
yeah.
And for the longest time, they were just going to have one, Freddie Peralta.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was a replacement because he couldn't pitch, which was Trevor McGill. And then Jacob Mizrowski because nobody else wanted to go pitch.
Yep.
But no position players for the Brewers.
No, that's what I say. What these guys are doing, it's I don't want to say a ragtag bunch.
Murphy's Misfits. We had
well, there you go. That's
one of our listeners, Jordan, said that.
Murphy's Misfits.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to see, and it just proves that determination will take you a long way too.
Mm-hmm. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off here in about 25 seconds, so we'll have all the reaction tomorrow from trade deadline day today.
Is it Kasper? Can I watch the Kasper Classic on the Golf Channel?
We tried,
but it's not going to be on.
Nope.
Really?
We tried. Maybe next year.
All right, I hope so.
Maybe you need to call your cable provider and complain again.
It's their mistake.
We'll be at Lake Cali tomorrow, so if you're out there, come by, say hi. If not, we'll still talk to you tomorrow morning from the golf course. DP Dannets are up next. Have a good rest of your day. 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Trade reaction talk. We'll talk to you then.